To give you a little bit of a context before I go into the review, this year in the last couple of months, I have been using the Oppo X8 Pro, X8 Ultra, the Vivo 200 Pro Mini, the S25, the smallest one vanilla version, and the 13T. And throughout this review, I will be comparing this phone to a few of them. This phone has been bought in China, where I live. The price is 4,000 RMB divided by 7 comes down to about $500, roughly. It is the 16 gigabyte, 512 gigabyte memory version, so it's the middle child. It's a great phone. It's definitely better than the S25, and to a degree, it's blowing punches with the X200 Pro Mini, and I will explain why. So, if we talk about the design of the phone, a lot of people said that it reminds them of the Pixel 9 series because of the camera. All in all, this thing is built like a tank. There is an iPhone-ish feel, especially with the side button here that you can assign anything to. I like the fact that the bottom speaker is on the right side so that when you're gaming, you're not gonna cuff that and muffle it. At the back, you have the regular camera, wide angle 24 millimeters, and you have a telephoto that goes up to 4 times. Flash, volume controls, sadly no camera button, because this is something that coming from the X8 Pro and the X8 Ultra I really got used to, but for a $500 phone I can definitely understand omitting that. There is a screen protector that comes out of the box, so like I said, design wise very comfortable in the hand, no sharp edges. Even though the edges are flat, the actual edges here have been chamfered so nothing dives into your hand. Build wise, this thing is built like a tank. Display, you can definitely tell that this is an upper version of a cheap display, and I don't think there is any way I can explain that, so I'm gonna try. There is no rainbow banding or color shifting on the sides. Again, this is a great display. I'm somebody who's coming from the top tier flagship, X8 Ultra being the best phone of the year. When you compare them to the top tier phones that cost $1,000 and more, this looks noticeably worse if you really pay attention. But if you're comparing this to any other $500 phone, the display blows them under the water. Everything around this display revolves around health, which means very high PWM rating. It's over 2000 hertz. So you will not get motion sickness, nausea, or anything. And I'm somebody who is exceptionally sensitive to that. When you go into display settings and you go into the eye comfort menu, you have standard anti-flicker, and then you have enhanced or extended anti-flicker. And again, me being somebody who's very sensitive to pulse wave modulation, I have no issues with this display in particular. Comparing this to the S25, the display is actually better than the one of the S25, at least for me, and is on par with the X200 Pro Mini, although I still believe that the 200 Pro Mini is ever so slightly better, but that's when you're nitpicking. It has a PPI of 460 pixels per inch, and the resolution is weird. It's not 1080p, it's not 1440p, it's something in the middle. Again, it's better than the S25, it's exactly the same as the X200 Pro Mini. So from the user perspective, as a user, you will not be unsatisfied with this display. No color banding, the colors are great. Whether you put this in any of the 3 color modes that the phone offers, whether that's natural, pro, or vivid. And again, my camera, which I'm using to record this, cannot show you this diligently. You will not have any issues whatsoever. The display is really genuinely good for the price. It's responsive, it's fast, the colors are accurate, there is no rainbow banding, like I said, which is something that's probably the most important. If you are having a dilemma that the phone is cheap and then the display is something they sacrificed. Rest assured that this is not the case. Audio is the one thing where this phone is better than the S25 and the X200 Pro Mini. And this is mostly because once you go into the settings, the audio settings, and you go into the side effects, most phones nowadays use Dolby, but Oppo or Oneplus has designed their own engine they call Reality. And honestly, it is the absolute best sounding engine that I have heard on any phone in the existence of time. Now, mind you, the ones on the Oppo series are better, whether you get the X8, X8 Pro, or X8 Ultra. And like I said, I've had all three. My wife is using the X8 Pro extensively. With this one in particular, you feel slightly something missing in the staging of the bass area, which is something that I have managed to correct with a little bit of equalizer tweaking. Let me just connect my earbuds so that I get that option in particular, because you do not get it on speakers. So this is my IQ, and when you are IQing, what you need to do to get a high quality sound, you need to sacrifice volume for what you're doing. So the 16K hertz is all the way down to the 0. The 500 hertz is to -5, and then right and left of it, each and every slider is one notch higher. This is something I have found to work the best for my ears in particular, and again fixes the problem that in general I've had with the audio. And when I say problem, that's really far-fetched. Like, I'm a musician, my standards are fairly high. These are something that I use on a casual basis, and when I'm mixing and mastering, I have the Sony MK1 MDR headphones for that, which I also use for listening. When you plug in USB-C DAC, for example, the Vivo X200 Pro does not have the actual output within the phone, but the OnePlus 13T does. So you can actually use a simple dongle that has no audio DAC in it. For the phones that require an actual DAC, I've been using the FIO 11, and I've had no issues regarding any of that. The speakers are well balanced, they are well pronounced, but they are thin, meaning they lack bass. There is very little low end. They are pleasing. They are exactly the same on the S25 and the X200 Pro Mini. But for casual YouTube and whatnot, they will be just fine. If you want to listen to music, I suggest getting a portable Bluetooth speaker or something, because these are really not great. The X8, Oppo X8, the base version of the X8, not the Pro, not the Ultra, actually has some of the best speakers I've seen on a phone ever. But that's for the audio department. The camera department, I've seen a lot of people criticize this phone that it does not have the ultra-wide camera, and I'm actually happier that I've put a telephoto rather than the ultra-wide camera, and I will explain why shortly. When you go into the options, you get a lot for your money. So whether it's panorama, time-lapse, high res, which utilizes the entire 50 megapixels, dual view, like, you really have a lot to play with here. But if we are talking about standard modes, portrait mode is fixed, like fixed as in you get one single focal length and that's it. You cannot choose, you cannot swap between lenses. You get what you get and that's it. When you go into the gallery, it takes some time for it to do its magic, but when it does, the pictures come out pretty great. The reason why I prefer the telephoto, so a lot of people use the telephoto lens so that they can zoom in. The thing is that most of the time you're not going to use the telephoto lens to zoom in closer, you're just going to use it to get a different focal length. The default mode of the wide lens is 24 millimeters, whereas personally I prefer this. And if you click on the 1x button in the camera app, you get a 35 millimeter focal length, which is way better. It's still utilizing the wide lens, but it gives you a more natural field of view. This is where the 2x kicks in, and there is some artificial sharpening, but the photos really come out looking great. I've seen people criticize this camera. There's really no reason. And this is the times, or the 4x, and again, there is a lot of detail here that is retained. If you really zoom in closer, you're gonna start seeing some artifacting and some noise. But from a phone that costs $500, my God, these are some exceptionally usable pictures. Daytime photos, they are very nice. This is a daytime photo of my campus. Again, maybe the camera cannot really show that, but the photos really have zero issues whatsoever. Going in closer, there is a very significant retention of detail with the 4x lens, so daytime pictures you will not have any issues. This is me trying to mimic a nighttime photo, and this is where you see that the phone is definitely not a top tier flagship. So what do I mean by that? If you go, like, I've taken a photo that's relatively challenging, so the photos from my bathroom, unfortunately I apologize for that, but it's the best scenario I had. The light is in the background, whereas the room outside is in the dark, and there is a reflection in the door. This is with the night mode on, and it's artificially trying to lighten the surrounding area, which is not something that the naked eye could see. Like me actually looking at it, I couldn't see the colors of the tiles here, which in turn creates noise. But if you turn the telephoto camera, the night mode off, then you get what I actually was looking at, and here there is very limited to no noise at all, so the camera is going to be quite usable. When you are shooting video, what happens is that the wide-angle camera crops into 35 millimeters to use the rest of the frame for electronic stabilization. There is both optic and electronic stabilization, and the video is really well stabilized. I had no issues. At the end of that video, I was actually jumping on 1 foot, and the video didn't stutter at all. So even for $500, you are not going to get a 1-inch sensor. That's impossible. And mind you that the Vivo X200 Pro Mini is $150 more expensive than this one, and does have a significantly better camera array. That goes without saying. But in this phone for $500, you are going to get a great experience, like without a doubt. I love this software more than the Samsung phone. What I didn't like is that, for example, if you go into mobile networks, there is absolutely no setting for the 5G network. I disable 5G, and in order to do that, you have to go into About Device. Then you have to go into I keep forgetting version, and then you version number click to go into the developer options. When you go into the developer options, they are in system update, developer options. Only then somewhere down the road are you going to find an option to disable 5G. There it is. I'm not paranoid that 5G is going to make me sick. I just feel that it's draining battery, and I simply do not need it because 4G is, for my purposes, sufficient enough. The alert slider is gone. You get the shortcut button, which really reminds me of another company's product. but I use it for notifications on and off. Whether you want to use it for recorder, flashlight, translating, do not disturb as a camera button, you can, so it's very customizable. The software itself, the UI, is significantly customizable, whether it's widgets, like even icons themselves, like you can customize anything from shape. Like this software blows Samsung out of the water. Like this software is so user friendly and has so many options that you literally have no reason to go for anything else. For now, this phone is China only. I have installed a Play Store, which I have actually found directly into Oppo's App Store. But even without that, you can just download an APK of the Play Store, install it, and I had no issues with notifications, no issues with any apps, whether that was Gmail, Chrome, Google Drive, and whatnot. Another thing is the IR Remote Blaster, which is something that once you have it on your phone, it's impossible to live without. Like, I'm starting to sound like Flossie Carter right now, but it's just something that once you have it, me being a big Sony fan, I imported the Sony Music APK as well, which you can find on XDA developers. So software-wise, the experience has been great. Battery life has been ridiculous. Like, they have crammed a 6,000 milliamp hour battery into this phone, and I've been getting 2 full days of usage out of this, and I'm talking usage, music streaming, social media apps, videos, pictures. Very rarely would I have to charge the phone at the end of the second day, but unless you are a heavy gamer, there is absolutely no way that you can destroy this battery in a day. Like, unless you're actively trying to destroy the battery. Speaking of gaming, I've had no issues with gaming on this phone. The Snapdragon 8 Elite does not overheat. Now, I'm an old school gamer. This is a game that's triple A game from like quite a few years back. I'm gonna go into the game just to show you a little bit of gameplay. This is Implosion, Never Lose Hope. Maybe I haven't really chosen the best possible level for this, but it's a 3D game, although this particular level is kind of 2D-ish, but this is a proper 3D AAA game. And I've been playing it extensively for hours. I've been playing the Chinese version of Arena of Valor called Honor of Kings, and the phone got barely warm. Battery life has been awesome. The optimization, never had issues with any potential heatsink problem or anything. There was no battery drain. I'm not somebody who plays Genshin Impact. I apologize for that. I'm just simply not. It's not my thing. I prefer to play Zelda, the real deal. But if you are a gamer, you are not going to have any problems with this phone. In particular, this with the Snapdragon 8 Elite and the proper cooling that it has inside is going to chew through absolutely everything. So what's the bottom line? If you are thinking between the S25 and this, I strongly suggest going with this because it's way cheaper, better display, significantly better battery life, better audio, and even though Samsung offers one additional camera, I still believe that the processing and the actual camera hardware on this phone are better. The X200 Pro Mini is a trade-off, whereas the display and the battery life are going to be the same. The X200 Pro Mini has a better camera, but has significantly worse audio. If listening to music is your thing, then stay away from the Vivo. For $500, and again, this is not the base version, the base version is even cheaper, you can get one absolute hell of a phone. Oneplus / Oppo at this point have blown it out of the park. Like, for me, if we're talking gains for money, this is the phone of the year. The X8 Ultra definitely blows this S25 Ultra out of the water. Like, kills the phone. Like, no contest. Samsung has been very lazy with their phones this year. But if you're looking, you're gonna get a very, very capable, dependable phone. Dependable meaning the camera is gonna work for you no matter the scenario, unless it's absolute pitch dark. The battery life is never gonna go out on you. The build is great. The performance is great. You want to, like, whatever you want for $500, you just cannot beat this. It's impossible. And you do not need to have the moniker edge in your phone for the phone to be comfortable.